Books to Prisoners Spokane was founded in 2017 by Ryan, Louise, and Micah KJ after they were introduced by a mutual friend who had heard each of them separately express interest in starting such a project. Since then, the all-volunteer membership of Books to Prisoners has continually and organically evolved. Current collective members are writers, artists, musicians, educators, community organizers, students, and activists with diverse personal and professional backgrounds. Many of them have roots in Spokane, while others have found a home here more recently, and they are united by a love of books, a passion for education, and a commitment to seeking justice for all. So please join me in welcoming the team of the Books to Prisoners.
Good morning. All right, cool. Thanks for having us. Again, so beautiful. Goosebumps. I got goosebumps. What really struck out to me was Stand By Me. What we're talking about incarcerated people. The words of that song, I think I'm paraphrasing. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't cry as long as you stand by me. I think the reason we're here talking to you today is to invite you to stand by those people that are incarcerated. We'll talk about that more. We are Books to Prisoners Spokane. Individually, my name is Matt. We have Tim, Sam, Ryan, and Megra. And to get things started, I just want to show you our mission statement. Books to Prisoners is a small collective connecting incarcerated individuals with reading materials at their request. We seek to empower people who are incarcerated with access to the books and knowledge they deserve. Very basically, what we do is we receive letters from incarcerated people all over the country requesting books, and we read those letters and fulfill those requests. Today we're going to explain why it's important for incarcerated people to have access to the books they need and why your donations would be so valuable. And just to get everyone thinking about our criminal justice system, we're going to show a short clip of a video by FD Signifier, and then we're just going to unpack some of those questions that the video raises. So you'll play the video.
Consider just how much actual experience you have with the police and the criminal justice system. Because of the way the algorithm works and what I know about my audience, the chances are that if you're watching this video on YouTube, you're watching as a person of relative privilege, probably a relatively decent level of education, which means you probably have not had much engagement with the criminal justice system at any level. If you're Black, there's a higher likelihood you've been profiled by police before, pulled over, maybe even detained. But have you ever been arrested? Have you ever been convicted? Do you have people in your family or close to you that have done time? Have you seen the long-term effects of prison on those individuals when they finally come home? Have you ever been victim of a crime and realized how difficult it is to actually get justice? Ever experienced the overall indifference of the police to your well-being after you've called them to come protect and serve?
So there were a lot of questions very quickly there in that video, but they're very important questions. So I'd like to just restate those questions and just give you a moment to answer those questions silently, personally, what they mean to you. How much actual experience do you have with the criminal justice system? Have you been arrested? Have you been convicted? These are two very different questions. Do you have people in your family or close to you that have done time? Have you seen the long-term effects on those individuals when they come home? Have you ever been the victim of a crime and seen how difficult it is to get justice? Have you ever experienced the overall indifference of the police to your well-being after you call them to protect and serve? Now we'll play another short clip from FD Signifier, and we'll discuss that clip further afterwards.
I think when we are passively consuming escapist content over and over again, it tends to become our main contact point, especially for like white people or people who don't have a lot of interaction with the police. The main way you interact with the police is through these cop shows. That is their main contact point. So like they think about the police, they think about crime, and they're like, well, I saw this on Law and Order once. And you know, that might not be realistic, but that's like what I got.
I'm gonna have Ryan and Megra come up and we'll discuss that further.
Hey. So, hey. Not all of us have been directly impacted by the harms of the carceral system. Generally, our work does not bring us into direct contact with the facilities that house the people we serve, except sometimes to drop off books. Our real contact with people on the inside is through the letters they write us. Letters turn the inside out, providing an opportunity for inmates to share a bit of their lives. Some of the letters we receive contain simple requests for specific titles or certain genres. Other writers tell us about themselves, how long they've been incarcerated and how long they have left in their sentence or until parole, what they hope to do when they get out, personal projects that they're working on now. For example, some folks are creating programs of self-study or for educating others. The requests from people seeking educational materials illuminates the dearth of such programs and resources in many institutions. And many people who are looking ahead to life after prison are interested in books on entrepreneurship and skilled trades, which is a testament to the widespread difficulty obtaining conventional employment after release. There are a lot of people seeking reading material to enhance their spiritual and self-help practices, and many who write us write of their love and appreciation of fiction. They write to us about the value of being able to escape, to lose oneself in imagination, and to experience the pleasure of another world.
Folks often reference books we've sent in the past, letting us know what they thought of them. Sometimes they tell us they've already passed these books along to a friend or plan to. We also receive letters of simple thanks with no requests attached, and cards, drawings, and poems. Although we don't have an opportunity to respond to these letters personally, I hope that the books we hand select and send have their own value as communication, saying something like, I've heard your request, and this is what I found for you. Even as a lifelong reader, writer, and a lover of books, I don't think I ever really understood the value of a book, nor the real cost of not having a book until I began this work.
Our justice system imprisons people on both sides of the prison walls. And to explain what I mean, we're going to show another brief clip from FD Signifier.
He's now aging out of Georgia's foster care. Christian considers it a legal system that failed him. The chaos from moving to foster home to one day this year, somewhere truly unexpected. This Department of Family and Children's Services office is where he was living.
It didn't make sense to me why this was happening to me. When I came in, I saw a lot of blankets on the floor, a lot of things on the floor. There was not a lot of food in there.
DFACS, the agency tasked with protecting kids, housed foster youth in its county offices for months on end.
We're staying here because they don't have nowhere for us to go.
Currently, about 2.7 million children in the United States have parents in jail or prison. That's 1 out of every 28 children, or about 1 student in every classroom. I'm a behavioral interventionist teacher. I work with students who struggle with behaviors that interfere with their learning or the learning of others. They need individual education plans and cannot learn in traditional classroom environments. They often have learning disabilities, a term I hate because we all learn differently, and often what we label as a disability is just something we don't fully understand. They are students who get suspended frequently, are loud and disrespectful, and sometimes violent. And the majority of the students I work with have parents involved in the justice system. These children are serving a sentence for a crime they did not commit, and it's a life sentence. These children bear the true weight of our justice system. There are 3 main ways these children get to stay in contact with their parents while they are incarcerated. In-person visits, which can be challenging because of the distance they may need to travel. Prisons are also an intimidating environment, and it's a lot to see your parent in that situation. Prison phone calls and video calls are an option, but can be very expensive, which is an obstacle for many families. Letters are the cheapest option, and can be kept as keepsakes and read again and again. We provide notebooks for incarcerated people to maintain this connection. Reading to children while in prison can be an incredible way to stay connected, whether it be during in-person visits or over phone and video calls. Books are a great way to communicate some of the lessons that are so important for children to learn from their parents. The following letter is from a woman who grew up while her mom was in prison, and the mother did a beautiful job of maintaining and strengthening their relationship through books. Dear Mom, happy Mother's Day. I can't believe this is our 7th Mother's Day apart. Only 2 more to go, which feels easy considering what we've already been through. I can't wait to get back to our Mother's Day lunches with Grandma and start buying you both amazing gifts again. I get my flair for giving the most well-planned out creative gifts from you. Thank you. You've been the president of my fan club for as long as I can remember. You told me I could do and be anything, and were so convincing that I believed you. I thank you for always supporting me through my various failed ventures, like being a beauty school dropout, until I found my niche in journalism. You always encouraged me to write, even when I couldn't see my talent. Your value of education led to my endless pursuit of knowledge. You always said, Heather, not going to college isn't an option. You will go to college. Because of that, I have a love of learning and a book hoarding problem that I hope to pass on to my own child. I also give people a run for their money when I play Trivial Pursuit, which is an added bonus. Ironically, prison has helped me become the person I am today, the woman you are proud to call your daughter. Because I grew up watching you smile through multiple hardships with grace, I've been able to hold my head high and build a strong future for myself and my son. I've watched you struggle through situations no one should ever have to deal with, but because you've powered through with your sanity intact, I'm able to do the same. You've shown me what in life is most important, family and love. Thank you for the many lessons, endless support, and unconditional love. I love you. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. This is just one example of how books in the hands of prisoners can disrupt intergenerational trauma. Here are some more examples of how transformative books can be when they're placed in the right hands at the right time.
Okay, so Chris Wilson was only 17 years old when he was given a life sentence. He formed a book club in prison. Overcoming the hopelessness of the situation, he said, I didn't just live for that library, I lived because of that library. The Patuxent prison library saved me from crushing despair. Wilson not only earned his high school diploma, but he also learned several languages and earned a college degree, crediting books. He said, "It is clear to me that books lifted my spirit in times of hardship." Wilson is now a published author of his own book, The Master Plan: My Journey from Life in Prison to a Life of Purpose.
Cynthia Brady grew up in Pasco, Washington, and experienced racism people on the West Side cannot imagine. While she was incarcerated, she received her AA and certificate as a chemical dependency professional. These are direct quotes from her. "I told my clients, and they always laugh when I say this, I said, at one point in my life, I was sitting at the round table pushing dope. Today I'm sitting at a different type of round table pushing hope. A lot of the time, the biggest issue with addiction is that we have lost the capacity to have compassion in most instances for ourselves. Another thing is that most clients that I have worked with have experienced childhood traumas. These are the things the courts did not even look at, their humanity. What has happened to these people that has caused them to turn to drugs?"
Sean Pica was sentenced to 24 years in prison when he was just 16 years old. He became the first of his family to earn a college degree, and then he founded Hudson Link for Higher Education in prison to similarly help others. This program leads to opportunities and only 2% recidivism versus 68% nationwide. Part of the success is their re-entry program for alumni. Pica said that he witnessed how learning created a flicker of joy amid the isolation, and it led to more letters written to loved ones, more community. Books were the snowball of humanity.
So what can you do to help? Well, I think standing by the incarcerated individuals is the invitation we have for you today. The positive impact of providing incarcerated people with the books they need with your donations can affect people not just while being in prison and jail, but after they are released. It helps not just the individual, but their families and communities as well. We have time for maybe one or two questions, but we will be at the back table where we are taking some donations right now. And we do just invite everyone to come back there, and you can kind of talk to us afterwards if you have any questions or you just want to say hi or get a high five. I don't know what people like. But does anyone have a question they would like to ask? Yeah.
Would you then prefer to have money as opposed to books? I always thought, we were supposed to donate books, but I guess not.
Yeah, right now we are really looking for funding to send the books. And we've been looking for it for a little while. Yeah, that's really why we're here today. There is another special collection happening in January. If you want to put up, oh, there it is. So there's what do you call it? If you ever do have books and you're like, oh, I want to donate some books, send us an email because we do get specific requests about different authors we may be looking for, or different genres that we're looking for. So just dropping off a box of books, while helpful, sometimes isn't so helpful. We're actually located on that wing over there in a little room. So there's a limited amount of space we have to keep books. So that's just kind of we want to have books that we're going to send because we are getting requests for specific things and we like to meet those requests and honor them. Yeah.
How do incarcerated individuals hear about you and know to write you letters to request the books?
Ooh. Ryan, you want to answer that?
Can you hear me or should I get on the mic?
We got a special one.
We work with the Seattle chapter of Books to Prisoners, and they receive thousands of requests every month. And how we're able to do our work with our limited resources is by basically getting letters from Seattle as we need them. And so, Seattle Books to Prisoners has been operating since the 1970s. So the information is out there a lot of times just based on reading letters. I believe it's word of mouth, but there are also certain like resource guides that get sent to people on the inside, and so the information is listed there. We also have had bookmarks in the past that were sent into various facilities with our address at PJALS, because PJALS is our fiscal sponsor, so occasionally people find out about us that way, but a lot of it is word of mouth and those kind of circular materials.
Yeah, it does feel like we get letters that are like, you know, someone that's incarcerated, somebody else gets a book, and they'll like, because somebody will read the book and then they hand it off to somebody else, and they'll be like, well, how'd you get a book? And like, oh, I wrote to Books to Prisoners. And so we get a lot of letters that are like, oh, I just heard about this, I didn't know you guys existed. So yeah, a lot of word of mouth.
So do you just send books to the institutions in Eastern Washington as opposed to any other place?
We send them all over the country, so. Yep. We have like a special, we send like a book or a box of books a month to the prison in Airway Heights. We also just gave some books to the Juvenile Detention Center, but we'll get letters from all over the place. One thing that is kind of important to know is that a lot of prisons don't allow hardback books. So paperbacks we can basically send anywhere. And I think it's only Texas receives, or something like that, receives hardback books at this time.
Words are pale imitations for to that which they point. You say bird, and there's a lot of birds, and you don't know quite what that word means. But book in Latin is libra. We get liberty from it. That word is precious. We get library, freedom. That is precious. Remember the word because it means and points directly.
I think it's a beautiful place to end. Thank you.